Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port here live on a Monday post Championship Sunday. The return of the Barnes and Tony show once again. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, dude. Stoked to be here. New week, a lot of football to talk about for sure. Gonna be kind of weird, honestly. I was just thinking about this too before the show. Like Pro Bowl this weekend, kind of like first weekend in a while where there won't be like much football talk. Obviously, I'm
Since
sure we'll
August.
still, which is wild. Still don't really understand why they do that, but nonetheless, dude, still going to be a solid week of shows. So yeah, pumped to be here, man.
And I'm guessing it's just the combination of the build-up and then wanting the best players to play in that game. So if anybody's banged up, they can get ready, and
that makes
be
sense.
prepared. But I know for obviously a while they didn't do that. Obviously the Super Bowl feels so much later now. It was always that first. I guess way back it was like the last Sunday in January.
I was gonna say I recall because my brother's birthday was yesterday, and I recall sometimes like the Super Bowl was on his birthday when I was a kid growing up. So yeah, it is kind of wild. Do you think that the players like it now, where there is that week of the buffer zone? The Pro
I think
Bowl?
to rest up, and the Pro Bowl. I mean,
at this point, it means nothing.
There is no Pro Bowl.
It's flag football.
Flag football.
Dude. Yeah,
literally flag football.
Which is so crazy, dude.
But I feel like also though I am kind of used to it. The thing that's just gonna kill everything is when they go to the 20 games, and I guess they can keep the calendar the same because they're gonna eliminate another preseason game, but then more people are gonna get hurt, and it's just like this whole thing, like where you just feel like they make so much money as it is. And I usually don't say that because I always say the thing about like, well, I mean, everybody, money. But it feels like it's just to a point where, do you really need more? Like, I really question that they need more.
More money?
All other sports, I would understand like the expansion, the money. I just question that the NFL actually needs more money.
I don't think so. I'm not entirely sure of their revenue per year. But I don't know. I guess it is kind of tough. I mean, obviously we're kind of seeing the trend of, as the years go by, more blockbuster deals, the extensions, stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, obviously there's going to have to be more give and take. If they don't bring in more money, then players aren't going to get paid more money, right? So,
but I feel like it's like, though, by design, though, salary cap goes up, TV deals go up,
right?
Ticket prices so all that stuff just keeps going up,
right?
Anyway.
Trickle down, yeah.
So it's like, just that additional pocket of revenue, and we need the Europe division, and it feels like it's just a little. The Europe division is going to be so cheap. Like,
I really can't believe that.
And the players are going to be pissed that are drafted into that and have to live in Europe. They're going to be so tight. Dude. I mean, maybe some people will like it, but it's just like I'm sure there's a lot of people just like me and you would be like, okay, yeah, I'd go there for a vacation. I'm not trying to live there half the year.
And I mean, not for nothing, dude. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of pocket here, but there's not like a ton of international players here in the NFL, right? So it's not like
they want them to be,
right. But it's not like the NBA where there's guys getting drafted, or hockey where there's guys getting drafted from Russia and stuff like that. Where it's like, they'll play in Europe, they'll like that, family maybe. I don't know, whatever. That's not like that in the NFL. So I guess we'll see kind of what happens. But I mean, do you think the NFL makes any money on the Pro Bowl weekend?
It's so hard to say. I mean, it's just, I guess, but I'm sure. I mean, it's it compared to all the other stuff that they do, that would be last on the totem pole.
Oh yeah, definitely. Interesting, dude. Looks like
no, but this is
2020.
About,
general revenue.
But did you ask about the Pro Bowl or no?
No. Just annual revenue.
Oh, no. But you should just Google that.
There we go. 20 billion, 2023.
AI has to say about it.
How much money does the NFL make? How much?
No, it's not. It's not giving it. To you,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know, dude.
But you would
money,
imagine
42 grand.
something. You know what I mean? Because it's like we always just talk about ratings, and it's like I feel like their preseason ratings like outgain like regular other sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
probably.
it's like probably the answer is yes, and maybe it's minute compared to like big games and stuff, but they're probably pocketing something like they always do.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize that players get paid even just to beat the Pro Bowl. To be honest, looks like they get paid 42 grand just for showing up, and if you win, they receive $88,000 in prize money.
Yeah, because there always used to be this thing like when they would play in Hawaii, it was a big
Mhm.
deal at the end of the game to win because a lot of times they would pay for their family members, you know, not like immediate family, to come to Hawaii and be like, oh, well, let's win because we get double the money here.
Yeah,
then we can recoup that. That
That's
always
nice.
used to be a story before, you know, they started just doing gimmick plays and not taking the game seriously, just like the NBA. And now how they're doing some like, 3-on-3 tournament or something, like, which is just ridiculous.
For the NBA?
They're doing something
Yeah.
like that, yeah, which is just insane.
Was there any other like something like that was like a reason why to play competitively in the Pro Bowl like back in the day?
It was always money.
Just the money.
Just always money, but way back it was like just to like show who I am. You know what I mean? Like,
but it wasn't like, oh, this conference is going to host a Super Bowl.
No, that was only the MLB that did that. Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
It did make it a little interesting, but then sometimes it was like, you know, when you really think about it, it's like, well, like we're basing this off an exhibition game rather than how the team's actually performing this season. It does feel like they got it right switching it back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a fact. And I still stand by this. I mean, just in terms of pure game, most representable to the game that we see, you know, like regularly, the MLB by far, you know what I mean, has the most realistic game. So that's why I think it's by far the best. But I do see we do have a couple comments here.
Oh yeah, dog.
If we want to get to those.
Oh boy. Yes, Kev Do early and often out of here says, "Let's go, dude. We want the smoke."
Kev Do.
Boy, did he get the smoke, dude? Am I right?
Yeah, got the smoke, dude. And obviously we'll get to it, but we did clinch at least a tie in the postseason picks against the TCA. They going down hard in a big way with Washington and Michael Theophil saving the day, the tiebreaker, going with the Chiefs. So that was nice to see.
Michael
we'll obviously get to both of the games, but thank you, Michael, for the insight.
Speaking of the insight here, my mother says, "Good morning, my Anthony and Brian."
Good morning.
Good morning, Mom. And then she also says, "How am I doing? I am feeling way better than yesterday." I mentioned you know, the one day
Alka-Seltzer,
dude. The Alka-Seltzer.
No, I don't know. I figured you took something like that.
Robitussin, I suppose. You know.
See, I mean, I
don't think I've ever taken Alka-Seltzer in my life, Brian.
I feel like that's so common for me to suggest something like the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've done that, dude.
No.
So bad? No, I
didn't happen, dude. Tommy Donovan, tight, the 14 seconds.
Tommy,
I know, dude.
Talked to him yesterday about this. Absolutely brutal, especially because it was the battle back. And just in general, even though loss is a loss, you just feel like they're right where you need them to be, but to just not be able to get it, and especially after you had a power play, opportunity there, you don't get it. It was tough. And we were talking about that on Discord.
Absolutely.
That was tough. But we'll talk more about it as we continue on.
Oh yes, dude. We continue on with Michael Bukta. He says, "Barnes, we are still going to three-peat. We're gonna make a run for the ages."
Michael, and he did text me, but I just think it's Michael. We have to just keep it in perspective, and we'll probably have time to talk about it for a second at the end of the show. But I was telling you how, me and Mark were chilling over the weekend, CCX basketball, which was great. Good to get back out in the court. But we did watch the UConn game, and John was watching with us too. And it's like, man, like I know, yes, McNeely's going to come back, but it's like, you just know they could be better than that. And to lose that game, I don't know, man. So many opportunities. Caravan constantly, and Michael says we need to, get better out of him as well. It just, the flags are up. The red flags are up. You just hope they get it together. And, definitely, yes, is is the anxiety heightened because of the standard that has been set the last couple of years? Absolutely. But at the same time, how are we supposed to look at it any other way?
That's right.
You know, so you just hopefully next time out, you know, they can get the W. And, you know, with the big games coming up against Marquette and St. John's, have to, Michael, take care of business.
What was McNeely out with, you know?
Ankle.
Ankle.
So ankles are tough, you know, depending on the severity.
Especially in basketball,
Yeah.
too. And then he also says, do you guys ever been to Animal Kingdom?
Yes. I did go to Animal Kingdom.
I did as well. I enjoyed Animal Kingdom. I went on the safari. The safari, I think, was my favorite part, to be honest.
But don't you think if like Matt was here, he's like, dude, I don't want to go to Animal Kingdom. It smells like shite.
It does. It does kind of smell like when you're on the safari, there's animal
when you
shit,
say
dude.
that,
You definitely would say that. You definitely would say that. And not for nothing, dude. I remember like seeing the lion, and they definitely like tranked him or something, dude. Like, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I think it says Disney World is bigger than Disneyland. But Disneyland is a true destination I've always wanted to go, no doubt about that. And he says, can we agree that Hurley fires me up? Absolutely, Michael. And then he kind of backtracks. Says, if we don't three-peat here, I will totally be fine. 2 years in a row is still great. We will beat Marquette and St. John's with McNeely.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I'm not saying that we won't. But right now, if I had to do my, you know, other Michael, Viaville, Houdini, I would say that's a split situation. But to beat both of them, then I would think, you know, the confidence goes back up, and then maybe we could be talking about some type of run here. But speaking of Viafil, Michael's saying what I'm here for. So that was amazing too. And before he answered too, he like meditated for a second, like really thought about it.
Yeah.
And it's like it was like a calling to clinch that tie and most likely the win.
Yeah.
Barring that we don't go 0-2 in the Super Bowl.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. That was a hard decision, off the cuff, tiebreaker move. Like, you got to step up in that instance, and not for nothing. I mean, we saw how close the game was. Like, it wasn't like a pick 'em, you know, sort of deal. And then Barnes.
Faith is Michael's a man of faith. Okay, keep the faith.
You're a good person.
So are you, Michael. So are you. And just trying to be objective here. And like I said, I don't like the defense, and I don't know, Caravan. Like, it's like he has the yips or something. I don't know.
Do they have like rookies to look forward to upcoming years? Like, are they kind of rebuilding?
I don't pay attention
Freshmen,
to
I guess I should
classes,
say.
But I mean, I think, you know, since they've been back in the Big East, since Hurley's been there,
isn't there some point guard coming out of Trumble High or something?
Is it really?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm surprised Michael hasn't like rattled off. I should look this up though.
Yeah.
There's what else did he say?
Connecticut prospect out there. He says that I'm guessing you. Hold on, wait. Hurley, he says, was not going to coach the Lakers, Barnes. Let me just say that. I'm guessing you weren't shocked. Defense perimeter needs a lot of work.
Defense perimeter and interior too, as well. And just like, Carabin, go up strong. Like, you're literally nervous down low. And I think it's just killing them, and we just need more consistency out of him. Solo ball, same thing. Great potential, but the consistency just needs to be better.
He's young, right? Is he a sophomore?
He is a sophomore, yeah.
That's good.
So let's see here. So the recruiting class, they're saying Braylon Mullins, a 5-star prospect from Greenfield Central High School in Indiana. Darius Adams, a 5-star prospect who was ranked as high as number 19 by ESPN, doesn't say where he's from. Eric Rebel and Jacob Furpy, a 4-star Australian guard. So the Aussie bar getting in the mix.
Wow, dude, there we go.
So that's kind of interesting.
No homegrown Connecticut kid, though, huh?
Doesn't look like it, but they actually have the press release from UConn Athletics. So I'm sure, by the way, Michael Bucca loving the UConn segment to start the show.
Oh, yeah,
dude. Let's see. So Adams is from New Jersey. And then, you got Furphy from Australia, Mullins from Indiana, and Reeb is from Germany, a 7-foot center. So
holy shit.
7-foot center, 6'5" guard, 6'6" guard, 6'5" guard. So a lot of guards there. The center.
That's pretty wild.
You hope he's going to pay dividends. And he's been spending time I guess he's been playing the Orange Academy Ulm in the German Pro B, whatever that means.
Sounds good.
53-8. And he's represented the German national team recently, the under-18 team. So it seems like, a pretty good recruiting class.
Is it often that they recruit international players in college?
Yeah, more so. And Canada has been big for a while. But yeah, now it's really like expanding.
That's pretty cool, I guess.
What else do we have here?
Michael Bukta here. He says also, let's see. The rebounding, especially offensive rebounding needs work. The goal is to get the 6th seed, he says. And the Michael Thiefel comes in trolling early the Knicks. Michael Bukta seemingly, I guess, ignores that, to be honest. We have Braylon Mullins, Eric. This is the guys you were talking about coming next year. Giving McNeely and Ball, and those two coming in. We have a dangerous team, he says. So apparently, a lot to look forward to, I suppose, if you're a UConn fan.
And they actually have the number 3 class in America, Tony. So that's pretty good. So
there we go.
Seems like no rebuild, just more of a rejuice, or I'm trying to think like usually you're good with these words, Tony.
Rejuvenation.
Rejuvenating the roster. It's not perfect. There's, no, but in all seriousness, isn't there some other word that we're just not thinking of?
Possibly, probably.
Like recharge? I don't know. It's just not. It's not right.
Recharge.
We're searching for it, but it's just not there.
Maybe it'll come up, dude.
We'll figure it out eventually. Josh B in the building.
What a fam, dude. Homesick with a bug.
Retool.
Thanks for keeping me company, dude. And then
Josh
he says,
Josh
retool,
B
dude.
On it every fucking time. I swear to God.
Even when he's not feeling well,
Josh
dude.
B is a magician. So yes, and hopefully
corporate America.
He feels better. I'm sure he's not, but I would say I'm sure he's not minding being home and not being part of corporate America.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of late trains though today, huh?
Oh
shit.
Yeah, dude, that train system. Unbelievable. But take the Alka-Seltzer. You'll be all right. Tony likes Robitussin. I recommend Alka-Seltzer. But I digress. And I say, Tony, let's go to the world of the National Football League.
He wants Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson, the catch of his life.
Burrow fires, intercepted, picked off at a pick 6. Minka Fitzpatrick, an absolute ball hawk.
Niners twist up front and get to Tagovailoa. Bosa again.
Mahomes escaping, on the move, stops, spins, flips it forward for the touchdown.
Stop it.
Aaron Jones, what a tackle. Quincy Williams with a pile driver.
All right. So an interesting championship Sunday yesterday. Was expecting 2 great games. Unfortunately, we only got one of those. And it wasn't the first game in Philadelphia where the Philadelphia Eagles score a championship game record 55 points, and the Washington Commanders winning 55-23. And you could tell early on, Tony, how this game was going because the Commanders go on this long extended drive. I thought I don't know. I should just look it up, but I was thinking it was maybe 14 plays.
Yeah, this is going to be 11, 6 minutes long.
And they go for multiple fourth downs. And by the way, this was an 18-play drive, and they were still – it only garnered 54 yards. So it shows you how they were literally grinding out these first downs, getting multiple fourth downs. And I know, the Eagles just blew the doors down here. Let's be realistic, Tony. But I just thought that was such a bad coaching decision early on. You had gotten 2 fourth downs. Your defense is going to struggle to stop this Philly offense, and you kick a field goal after you had converted very similarly leading up to that point. At that time, did you think that was a terrible decision by Quinn?
Yes. Yeah, I did, dude. I don't know if he was maybe thinking the drive was long. People maybe got a little tired. He wanted his offense. I don't know what he thought. He definitely wasn't thinking, what the next play for the Eagles would be, I'm sure, after the field goal. But yeah, dude. I think there was a few, you can kind of tell, coaching mistakes, I think, against the Eagles specifically. But yeah, I thought that was bad. Like you said, that long ass drive. How do you not try to get the touchdown here,
And it was just at the right spot too, where it's like, okay, 4th and 5, maybe you have an argument, 4th and 6, but 4th and 3, Jaden Daniels, empty formation. If nobody's open, he runs it. Come on. I just feel like that was a very weak moment by Dan Quinn. And it really felt like the Eagles never looked back after that because first play from scrimmage, they get a good kick return. Saquon Barkley to the house, 61 yards. We say it feels like every week, but I just really have just never seen this. I mean, I think it far exceeds, and maybe far is an exaggeration, but what Adrian Peterson did in his prime. I mean, it's just unbelievable, Tony. It's almost more of a surprise if he doesn't take it to the house.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is like, I mean, it's not too out of pocket to say. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like Saquon Barkley, the way he's been playing for the Eagles here. And obviously, you can, tip your hat to the offensive line, whatever. But I mean, not for nothing, dude. I mean, how do you not, like, this is the play. Like, Saquon is probably going to run it first play. And he's just able to find a hole, hit it hard, and like never look back, dude. And that was him the whole game, dude. It is super impressive. And I would imagine at that point, I mean, how are you not just so like just gut wrenched after that long drive the Commanders put on?
You only get 3.
And
then you had a chance to tackle him
twice. And then you think maybe I can get a break even after getting the field goal. You're like, all right, I can get off the field. We'll, maybe retool a little bit, regather ourselves. But no, you get right back on the field. Oh, my God. Dude. Brutal.
And then you get the ball back, and on the 4th play, after you get the ball back, you pick up a first down.
Mm-hmm.
You fumble it on a 6-yard pass to Brown. Cooper DeJean, I guess, was in there with Bound. Bound gets the fumble recovery. So Eagles get the ball right back. 6 plays, 48 yards, another touchdown here. And, of course, who else? Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it 14-3 Eagles. The Commanders get the ball back, moving it well, but they're forced to kick a field goal after a 4th and 10. They make that field goal, and it makes it 14-6 in favor of the Eagles. So you're saying, okay, one possession game.
Serviceable.
And then the Eagles miss a field goal. Washington gets the ball back, 5 plays, 56 yards, and they were stretching it too. It was like I think it was it a 50? I just want to see the field goal here. 54-yarder. So that really like sets things back. So Washington gets the ball back. They score 5 plays, 56 yards to make it 14-12. Terry McLaurin from 36 yards out, but they go for the 2-point conversion. I mean, Eckler not even close to the end. It goes backwards, Tony.
That, again, like, play calling. I watching that, I'm like, all right, not for nothing, dude. I mean, I know I say this a lot, and it's probably maybe it doesn't work all the time, but you have Jaden Daniels, have him roll out.
Right.
Like, why would you not have him roll out
and be the crossing routes?
Right, the crossing route. Like, come on.
They were saying, even Tommy was saying, single read there.
Why?
You're just hoping that everybody was going to go to the other side, I guess. Just didn't make sense. And also, too, you didn't need to go for 2 there. You don't chase points early. And like I said, again, it wouldn't have mattered, but it just seemed like that was strike number 2 against Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
And, of course, what do you know? The Eagles get the ball back.
Wow.
12 plays, 72 yards. And then, capped off by Jalen Hurts up the middle. And also, I'm not sure if it was that player or it was later in the game, but did you see the whole thing about how the Commanders kept jumping offside and they said at some point they could award them a touchdown? I've never heard that. Is that even a rule?
I guess it is,
that
right?
Was
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, that was towards the end of the game, I think. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. That was, I forget, it was Luvu who kept trying to time it right to jump over the line to grab Hurts.
Like, because he knew he wasn't going to stop him. He had no chance to stop him.
Which is, again, kind of wild because they did stop the tush push for the 2-point conversion right here. But in any case, I've never seen anything like that. But I would imagine, even my brother said, I guess that they can do that because why would the ref say that if they couldn't, right?
They couldn't,
I mean,
right. So they don't get the 2, and it was one of those things. This was, and it doesn't matter, like I said, because they end up winning by 32 points here. But like taking the points off the board, they make the extra point, but then because of an offsides, they decide to go for 2. Don't get it surprising. I mean, every other time they got it, so you understand why they did it. But then the Commanders fumble the kick return.
Can't
and at that point, even though it was a 1-score game, you kind of felt like it was over. Eagles again, this time working on a short field. 7 plays, 24 yards, and capped off by an A.J. Brown touchdown, who really has been lost in the mix here because the Eagles not passing the ball much, going with Saquon. So 27-12, The Commanders do get a field goal off. I thought was an impressive 37 seconds. They moved the ball 46 yards to get Zane Gonzalez in position from 42. So 27-15. Eagles get the ball to start the second half, punt, but then the Commanders unfortunately go 3-and-out as well, punt it back. Eagles again scoring here to extend it to 3 scores after you get Jalen Hurts running from 9 yards out. So that made it 34-15. And at that point, you really felt like it was over. Washington does score, does get the 2 to make it 34-23. And this was Jaden Daniels, rushing for the touchdown. And then he finds Zacchaeus, the former Eagle, for the 2-point. So 34-23. Eagles punted back. So you're saying maybe Commanders have new life. Oh, wait, a fumble. So these fumbles and just bad decisions really coming back to bite. Eagles, what do you know? They get the ball back, score again, 41-23. Commanders don't score the rest of the game. And like I said, it ends up being 55-23. And even Shipley, the backup running back, busts a big one late, ends up scoring a touchdown. It was just quite the beatdown. Yeah, that's Will Shipley, the backup running back who went to Clemson. So it was just quite the beatdown. And it wasn't a surprise that the Eagles won, but I just think it was a surprise how the Commanders fell apart. But then it just made me think, and I know Saquon, this was actually a light game because he had 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, which is crazy to say, but 61 yards on the first carry. So if you think about that, I mean, it's 14 carries, 50 yards. For him, that just kind of like, but they didn't need to because the Commanders kept turning the ball over, not making the right decisions, and Hurts was running in touchdowns as well. That's what we get here. But any surprise for you here or shock of the beatdown, the scoring record that it was for the Eagles here?
I mean, I suppose so. There's a little bit of a shock. I guess maybe I thought the Commanders would score more.
7 rushing touchdowns by the Eagles,
which is the most in any championship game, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it's unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, I guess that's really the only thing that was surprising. I mean, you know me, I chose the Eagles to win this game. Obviously, I still think, certainly the future is bright here for the Commanders. I mean, obviously, Jaden Daniels was trying to do something a rookie quarterback has never done before. And not for nothing, dude. I think Terry McLaurin looked great. Zach Ertz revitalized his career, it seems, this year.
Yeah, he said he regained his love for the game.
Which is great, dude. And that's what a great young quarterback will do for you. It should be interesting to see, I guess what happens in terms of coaching. You think Quinn is worth having him stick around and everything?
I mean, that's not even gonna be a question, but no, he definitely made some mistakes here. But the turnaround that this franchise had, I mean, it is crazy. Debacle of this game. Crazy. But what I would say is a couple years on the line, if he's making mistakes in key moments, then that's going to be revisited. But right now, that's not even a thought at all.
What do you think the Commanders need to do to maybe defense?
Their whole draft. I mean, I know the receivers aren't that good, so maybe you want to get one receiver.
Yeah.
But I would just go heavy defense, corners, pass rush, but definitely coverage and linebackers. I mean, there's just so much that needs to be done. And Bobby Wagner, maybe he'll retire after the year.
That's what I mean. I feel like you're going to lose him. Not for nothing, Marshawn Lattimore, I feel like.
Too physical with the hands. We saw him with the pass interference, and he got beat by Brown as well.
And then the whole his attitude isn't great, dude. We've seen him get into it with Evans before, Brown too. You can't be doing that, dude. And I think even Brown drew a penalty at one point too off of him. And it's you can't be doing that, making stupid emotional moves in a game like this. So I do think maybe even I don't know. I feel like Austin Eckler had a little bit of a down year for sure. Brian Robinson, I guess, has had good games, but I don't know. But
they could improve there
the
for
running
sure.
back,
but I still think because of how good Daniels is, that you could kind of be lax there, and maybe you go into free agency for those positions. But I still would just go heavy with the draft defense. Yeah,
I agree with that. Do you think maybe they're a little bit hesitant to run Daniels as much in case risk injury or something like that?
Yeah, and also, I mean, he's such a good passer.
Yeah.
You don't want to run him all the time, but it's like I said earlier this year, the whole thing with the smart running reminded me of Russell Wilson back in the day. And I think he did that this year for sure.
Yeah.
So while it is an embarrassing loss in a sense, if you look at it big picture, It was such a successful season and such an accomplishment for this team. And I think one that still deserves to be lauded despite the wide margin here.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, you said it. The turnaround just for the organization is crazy. And obviously, I mean, you were facing the best running back in the league, arguably. Yeah. So I mean, that's obviously, what was, I guess, suppose your kryptonite here. But I don't know. I mean, not for nothing, dude. You're looking also at Jalen Hurts. I know we've all been a little bit critical in terms of Hurts and his production as an elite quarterback anyway. But not for nothing, dude. 20 of 28, 246, a touchdown, no picks. Only taking 2 sacks as well, using his feet. When it counted, he was able to air it out to Brown a couple times. And, his connection with Dallas Goedert was pretty huge on third downs as well. You think, especially with Hurts coming in here, the knee, I mean, do you have any other opinion about him? Do you think, all right, this guy is kind of more of a real deal right now, or?
It's just one of those things. I think for what they need him to do, when you're counting on a running game that's going to get as a team, 200 yards every game, I think it's fine because he's part of that running game. It's just a matter of if somehow, and Steve Spagnuolo, who's coordinated 4 Super Bowl championships, which is a record for a coordinator, and 1 with the Giants, 3 with the Chiefs, comes up with a game plan here to stuff the run, and it's all Hurts through the air, then that's the only thing that would come into question. But they run it so effectively. I just question, how much you could really do that. But if anybody was going to do it, I do think it would be Kansas City. But like I said, it's been so long now. And I know there was games, we could go back to his game logs where Barkley, didn't have like a great game, but it's I don't know about you, but I swear to God, I don't remember the game where the run was stopped for Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree here.
By the way, Saquon has rushed for 118 yards in 5 consecutive games. And this season, he only had 5 games out of 16 plus the 3 play. So 19. So 5 out of 19 under 100. And you had 2 games where he had 84 and 95. And 2 games since the 10th of November where he was under 100 yards. So just to show you how much of a run it has been, and the only game that they've lost since September, Tony, was against the Commanders. So I mean, it's just been unbelievable.
It really has.
And I think, like I said, if anybody could do it, it's Kansas City. I think if the Bills, were in this spot, I think their defense would have no shot. I think he might run for 300 yards, but Kansas City defense is pretty good. But I think that's a good segue. Second game, what do you know? The Chiefs back in the Super Bowl, going for the three-peat here, 32-29 over the Bills, a back-and-forth legendary game once again. The Nance, the Romo, and and it's interesting. For a little bit, it seemed like, especially in the first half, that Kansas City, might pull away, because right away they get a 3-and-out, get the ball back, go down the field, score 9 plays, 90 yards. So, kind of showing the weakness of this Bills defense, which I thought all season was mediocre. Kareem Hunt scores from a 12-yard touchdown, and I think it's like every game, because this is his first time back in Kansas City since 2018. So he played in the 2017 playoffs, and he scored touchdowns in those games. So every game as a Chief, and against the Texans he scored as well. He scored a touchdown. So kind of interesting, the rebound story there. Bills, they get the ball 10 plays, 35 yards, and then they go with a Bass, Arrowhead record, Tony. Making the field goal from 53 yards out. So 7-3 Kansas City. And then Mahomes fumbles the ball on an option play. He was going to hand off to Hunt, pulls it, and then there's a fumble. Yep. Bills get the ball back, 10 plays, 72 yards, make it 10-7. So all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, are the Bills going to be in control of this game? But the Chiefs answer back, 11 plays, 70 yards, capping off that drive with a Mahomes pass to Xavier Worthy, who was looking quicker than ever. And we know how fast he is, the combine time, all of that. So that made it 14-10. Bills 3-and-out, punt. Chiefs get the ball back. And they go on a drive of their own, 6 plays, 34 yards after a good kick return. And I guess there was defensive holding as well. Anyway, and an unnecessary roughness. But Mahomes, a 1-yard touchdown run. So that made it 21 to 10. Bills get the ball back, 7 plays, 73 yards. And that drive is capped off by an Allen to Mac Hollins, the former Eagle and Raider.
Phenomenal catch.
But then they go for 2, and they don't get it, which was interesting. So 21-16. And then, the Chiefs kneel it out. They go on an 8-play drive, but then have to punt the ball back to the Bills. 12 plays, 80 yards. They get they don't get the 2 once again, but they do score the touchdown on a James Cook run. And it's interesting. I think that was the 2-point conversion where he tried to go left and they just completely stuffed him. Was that the one?
I think so. Yeah, he got sacked almost immediately.
Yeah. But it's just the way they were doing that. I guess left is the strong side of their line, but he's so big. I think the best, and they did it later in the game where he just jumps over.
Yeah.
That's the best. Don't take a step. That's taking a false step,
right.
Taking a step back and going to the left. So that's just kind of what I thought. But they take the 1-point lead there after not getting the 2. Chiefs punt the ball back, but then the Bills get it back, turn it over on downs, 4th and 1, and that was actually the Allen play, the review, some controversy there, the refs. But my whole thing, replay assist, you see it. It was called like that in the field. It wasn't definitive.
Yeah, it wasn't definitive.
I think it's if it was, it would have been overturned. So that's something that I know people are probably harping on. But there's video review for a reason.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. And honestly, I don't think that was even the worst call of the game because that was it could have really gone either way. It looked like he was at the line, possibly, maybe. But again, the call on the field stand, I didn't really have a problem with that. I think there was another, I think it was maybe before then. There was a catch. It must have.
Yes, the simultaneous possession.
Yes,
and again, but that was called on the field. That's why if it was called the other way on the field, I think
they challenged it.
It would have stood, and they challenged it after a play was run, which was kind of
weird.
Too. Seemed a little fugazi. If it was the other way around,
right,
and
dude.
the challenge was in.
Oh yeah,
forget about it. There would have been talk about that.
But not for nothing. I don't know. I mean, I thought that play. It seemed like the ball hit the ground. To be honest, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. But then he had possession. So if you have possession, it can move a little. The rule is just so finicky.
Oh,
yeah.
So annoying.
Anyway. The Chiefs get the ball back, 5 plays, 59 yards, and capping that off, Mahomes running again. They go for 2, and he finds Watson for the 2-point conversion to make it 29 to 22. Bills get the ball back, and they go 9 plays, 70 yards, and that was capped off by a Curtis Samuel receiving touchdown from Josh Allen for 4 yards out. Take the extra point. So 29-29. Chiefs get the ball back. Seemed like they could just score, wind the clock down, but they kind of go down the field quick. They end up having to settle for a field goal because they got sacked for 7 yards on 1st and goal. And at that time, and I feel like I honestly thought, even though why should I think it? Because you just always have confidence in the Chiefs. They've been in these positions so many times, but it felt like there was too much time on the field, and it felt like that was going to be the time that the Bills go, score, win the game, go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the problem was they get backed up. They get a 4th down.
Brutal.
I believe, what was it? 4th and 5. So he's in Spagnuolo, who we talked about, dialing up the pressure. So Allen running just kind of hucks it. And it was, I'm kind of curious what you think about this. To me, everyone was thinking Cade could have caught it. And I know when you're throwing and you're falling to the ground, how you can have an accurate pass. Yeah. But I thought it was a little past him. That's why he didn't catch it. What did you think about that? Because it seemed like it was definitely in the area.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely wouldn't be an easy catch to make, but I think he could have caught it.
Just his balance wasn't right, timing wasn't right.
Yeah.
But and it's like, how could you really be, like I said, Allen was falling down.
Exactly. On a play like that, I mean, your timing is going to be off. So, that is a really tough catch to make, I suppose. I mean, obviously, had it been maybe another receiver, maybe, I don't know. I mean, interesting, but like I said, I think it could have been a catch.
And then, so the Chiefs get the ball back, but the Bills had 3 timeouts. But 2 important plays ended up sealing this game. A 2nd and 9, Chiefs picking up the 1st down. And it was interesting because you're thinking there, they're just going to run it again because they want to assure them to take the timeout. They don't. They do kind of a play action rollout, Pacheco. So that was for 10 yards. So another 1st down. And then there was another literally 3rd and 9. This time, Perrine, who wasn't into the game at all, the whole game, catches a 17-yard pass to ice it. Chiefs back to the Super Bowl, and will have an opportunity to win their 4th title in 6 years, 2 weeks from yesterday in New Orleans, the rematch with the Eagles from a few years ago. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Here we go again. And the heartbreak for the Bills. I know you saw Allen that kept panning to him on the sideline. I mean, it's one of those things like you really wonder. It's like, I mean, just mentally, like how you come back from that. And the parallel to Jim Kelly is so similar because it's 4 times. Yeah. But it's not even in the Super Bowl, but it's so close, and 4 times specifically to the Chiefs. I mean, you know what I mean? You're almost at like a loss for words of what to say.
Yeah. No, I mean, you definitely are, dude. And I mean, not for nothing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I said it before too. I mean, this team starts and stops with Josh Allen, and not for nothing, dude. His first like couple drives, definitely nervous.
Definitely nervous.
That first drive, the 3 and out, dude. I don't know if you remember, but he threw 2 balls that were like almost picked.
Yeah.
One of them went through the hands of a Kansas City receiver, which really should have been picked. The other one was massively overthrown, could have been picked again. Obviously, Bills there do get lucky with the fumble by Mahomes. They end up scoring to make it it was 10-7 at that point. But still, dude, I mean, it just seemed like that, like I said, your quarterback, the guy you rely on so much, being a little nervous to start this game. I understand why, obviously, but like you said, to see that this game, to know the outcome now and to think about what mentally where he will be next year. I mean, how do I think that he doesn't come out and be that nervous again? I mean, he was throwing some passes at first that were just like double coverage. Like, you're forcing the ball downfield. And then like, it's almost like Josh Allen resorted back to like his ways like 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Which is tough, dude. It really is. It's tough for him. But I guess I asked you the same question with the Commanders. I mean, what do the Bills have to do in order to get past this hurdle now, dude? Other receivers.
I think the receivers would be good. And yes, but more or less, Tony, I think it's even more so the defense, because I think when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, almost similar to what people used to say about Brady and even Rodgers in his prime, in Mahomes to an extent too, where he could just make anything work. I don't think, like, sure, it'd be nice, but you have to keep in mind too, make sure you get the guy that isn't so egotistical where it's a problem if Allen's distributing the ball, because it feels like he likes spreading the ball out and not just pinning on somebody. I know it worked for Diggs for a little bit, but then it seemed like he wanted to deviate from that.
Which is fine. I mean, listen, you see him, again, spread the wealth. I mean, Mac Hollins had a great game, a couple great receptions there. Obviously, Cook out of the backfield. Shakir is someone who seems to be a reliable receiver.
Coleman can be good. We have his rookie card.
Yes, Keon Coleman, we do. I'm still
9 different receivers too.
I'm still so perplexed on like what their idea of using Amari Cooper for was, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because he was so quiet this entire postseason. He had 4 receptions on 4 targets yesterday. And not for nothing. I don't know if you like noticed this, but every play was like a short, quick slant to Cooper. That was his only play where you saw like Josh Allen actually looking out for Amari Cooper. And I feel like he could have been a threat more so downfield. I mean, we spoke about his injury maybe earlier on. Maybe that played a factor. But again, I mean, you thought maybe, he would have, targeted him more than just 4 times there. But
yeah,
I mean, like you said, maybe, another receiver would be good, I suppose. But like I said, I still think, Josh Allen starts and stops with him. Cook, I thought, had a great game. That touchdown he had to was it to tie the game on the 4th and 1?
Yes. In the running outside, they had a chance to tackle him, but he just kind of maneuvered his way on the outside to the left there. Yeah.
Tremendous effort by him. So you love that, dude. But obviously, super tough loss for the Bills, and I guess you're happy for the Chiefs. I mean,
but like, I don't know. I mean, I know you're gonna talk simultaneous receiver, but I was talking to Chokri about this, and I think I was talking to it last night. Brandon was over, and I was mentioning it to Pooch, even though he didn't want to hear it. But I just feel like there's just a couple of things. It's like, okay, on that 4th down, the Bills could have gotten the 4th down.
Yeah, they could
get the 4th down, they score, they win the game. Also, defensively, those are 2 stops that they could have got against the Chiefs, and they're just not getting them. Yeah. So that's why when people talk about the refs and all this stuff, it's just like, I just think that the number one thing that I notice watching Chiefs games in the playoffs, watching big games with the Chiefs, is their execution is second to none,
Mm-hmm.
and their opponent's execution is far less than theirs is. And that is the difference in the game. The Bills, those are 3 opportunities, Tony, that they had a chance to come through to do it. They don't, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, in a game that is this close, Buffalo had a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
To put themselves in the position to control the game, not to be like, oh, like whatever. Like they could have been in control of this game and had taken the lead at some point and potentially won, but they didn't do. They just didn't do that.
My question to you, if it was the other way around, if Buffalo was leading and the Chiefs got the ball back, would there be any like question in your mind that they would have driven down the field and scored the touchdown?
Yeah, no, probably not. Dude.
I mean, that's the thing that they do. They icing the game there at the end. Mm-hmm. They just don't. They don't make the critical mistake. And I know they had that fumble early, which was very uncharacteristic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the difference, and it's just a good effort from the whole team, the whole organization, top to bottom. And they're going to try to, be the first team ever Super Bowl era. I know Dog doesn't want to hear it. He's talking about the AFL with the Packers. Mm-hmm. But to win 3 straight Super Bowls in 4 and 6 years, I mean, it's just unbelievable. To have an opportunity to do that. And I know, a lot of people are tight. But I just, like I'm saying, I just always have respected greatness. And that's what we see with him. And Rick and Dave were actually talking about it on my way over. Mm-hmm. And they're just saying the fact that like you can't dislike Mahomes. He's not cocky. He's a team guy. And he seems to be very humble. And he does. Right? I mean, it's not like he's talking trash.
No, it doesn't really seem that way.
Yeah.
Like you said, it does seem like he's he wins with grace, I suppose, is how you would put it.
Exactly. It seems like a Jason Libertelli.
Yeah, dude. He says, did you guys already give your early Super Bowl picks? Because go Birds, he says.
Interesting. I guess I would phrase this question. Of course, yes, Friday, especially with the TCA official picks. But my question to you, Tony, is how many do you have Philadelphia winning by?
I would say a touchdown. Honestly, I think it'll be I was gonna say typical like this game too. Whoever has the ball in their hands last, and not for nothing. If it's the Eagles, I don't think they're gonna have an answer for Saquon.
But what's interesting though? What if they're down 3, minute on the clock, no timeouts, can't run
it? True. You could not run it. I feel like Sirianni would have some type of plan for that though, right?
Some type of plan, but I'm saying that's where their advantage becomes a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, that's true, I suppose. But I mean, if Saquon runs it, one play 60 yards.
But also too, like I think and I know I love like predicting what you're gonna say to things, but I mean, are you just gonna get to a point though if like the Chiefs do win yet again, where you're just gonna like almost give up on the whole like picking against the Chiefs thing or no?
No, I'm not. I really do. Like, I did think the Bills could have beat the Chiefs. Like, I do think the Eagles can beat the Chiefs. Like, I'm not picking against them necessarily because I don't like the Chiefs. Obviously, the track record 3 in a row. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, not for nothing. Like, people were picking against the Eagles, and the Eagles proved them wrong. And I don't know. I think the Eagles, if there is a team, like their offensive line is arguably one of the best rosters in the league.
Yeah.
And yes, I understand that the Chiefs strive the most in this situation, it seems, but I still think the Eagles have the best chance to win,
Yeah, I just think
out of any other team in the league, I think they have the best chance to beat the Chiefs.
I would say so, and I would counter that though by saying I think the Chiefs have the best chance to beat the Eagles at their game because of the Spagnuolo, Reed, and Mahomes. Just because it's like, even if Saquon is streaking down the field, and I would think too, I'm sure he's still going to get chunk plays, but I would think that they're going to keep it in check somewhat, where it's not first play right to the house. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely, dude. I mean, not for nothing. I think that is an advantage that the Chiefs have is the fact that the Eagles are coming off playing not a great defense.
Yeah.
And expecting Barkley to run right away, sort of deal. Like I would imagine that the Chiefs have more of an answer for that. It really is at that point about how the Eagles do adjust, but not for nothing, dude. Like I said, Brown downfield, that connection was there. So, we'll see what happens. They're a triple threat team. We know Hurts can run, we know Barkley can run the ball, and we know that there's receivers downfield. So, I think it is a great matchup. I know people are complaining about it, but not for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is gonna be a great Super Bowl, dude. I'm very happy with the two teams here.
I have to say, I was talking about this again last night, and it's not even just Chiefs, Eagles as well, like you're saying. I just think it shows to the immaturity of a lot of football viewers, because I get it. Like, we want good storylines. We want our team. Of course, our team is always going to be the priority. We want them there. But I just think it's to the point where you're so jealous that you're not there. And I know as fans, we don't have control over what the team does, but it's like, if you're tired of seeing them, well, obviously it's on your team or the other teams to do whatever they need to do to beat them, and they're not doing that. And that's why the Chiefs are playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Because everybody has just done a brutal job against them this year. You really think about it, because the Eagles, one of their losses, right, was without Saquon and their starting backup quarterbacks. So they've only been beaten twice, and I think the game against Washington that they lost, Hurts left with the injury. So really, you could argue when they've had their full rosters, they've only been beaten once this entire season.
Right.
They've both played multiple playoff games. I think that speaks to the rest of the league not being able to keep up with them.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Interesting too that they didn't see each other in the regular season.
Yeah, just because of the AFC NFC matchup.
Yeah, of course, but it's
in the rotation.
Yeah,
but I think it makes it, for a better game, and then you just have the angle of the redemption. It's kind of interesting how history repeats itself. Last year was that redemption opportunity for San Francisco. This year it's Philadelphia. And two, how quickly perception changes. The fact that, after last season, everyone's like, are they even going to bring back Sirianni? Now you look at the track record, and his track record with the Eagles is actually pretty good. I think it's has to do with mannerisms, the fake crying. People are, they don't like that type of stuff. But Saquon has made them more likable if you're not a Giants fan. But it's very I think it's almost more so.
Ernie's calling it.
You could pick it up.
All right.
Let's get Ernie.
Stand by, Ernie. Oh, just finish your thought though, Brian, before we.
I think it's even worse so than with the Patriots in a way with the Eagles. People are so worked up about Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, dude. And it's interesting too to see Giants fans that they're kind of rooting for Barkley because we're just a shit show anyway.
But a lot of people not rooting for Barkley, losing sleep.
Ernie.
What's going on, boys?
What's
going
man?
on?
Good morning.
Good morning. How's you guys doing? How's Connecticut? Is it cold up there?
It is cold, but for Tony, it's nice and toasty.
It is nice and toasty. It is a little too toasty almost.
What's going on, man?
So I had to call in because I hear you guys talking, and I watching the game yesterday. It's certain watching the Eagles put 55 on a division rival that they split the season with. It tells you that, all right, if they have any chance, this is the chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, you have to also sit down and say, this is the Chiefs team that everybody said all year was trash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where did they
can't
end
cover.
Up? That's right.
Can't pull away. Can't score enough.
Yeah.
But
it was 1,000,001 things that was said about the Chiefs this year.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically speaking, they're in the Super Bowl again.
It's just because every time playoffs, close game, they have Mahomes, Reed, and then I think Spagnuolo is very underrated as a defensive coordinator. I think he's played a big role in their 3 Super Bowls that he's been the coordinator.
Now, if you look at the stat that they put up yesterday, right? This is how I knew the Chiefs were going to hold on and win. So they put up a stat, right? Before they went up by 3, they said that 16 straight one possession win games, including the postseason, right?
That's wild.
Then they go up in the field. Then they go up by 3 in the field goal. Then there's a Super Bowl Doritos commercial, including the Chiefs, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're going to tell us right in our face who's going to finish out and win the game, and it just made me think, and it's like, oh wow, this is really the Brady treatment at this point, because when you sit there and look at the way it's panned out, remember when we used to say, yeah, it doesn't matter who they're playing, you don't bet against Brady in a big game,
right?
All right, it's gotten to that point where it doesn't matter who Mahomes is playing, you do not bet against him in a big game. Simple. So I honestly think the Super Bowl is not going to be a shootout. It's not going to be a crazy game. It's going to be a game where your quarterback has to win, and the Eagles are going to fall short. Like it's going to be a 21-17 game where plays need to be made on 3rd and 9, like in the Buffalo game, where like at that moment where it was 3rd and 9 and they're stacking the box. I'm looking at the game and I'm just like, are you really stacking the box 3rd and 9 in a moment where Mahomes needs to make a play? You really gonna stack the box right now? You're not gonna play the flat. You're not gonna play. No, you're not gonna. That's those zone cover. No, you're just gonna stack the box and send 7. All right, you guys don't want to win, and it's just like this was supposed to be Buffalo's year. This was supposed to be the Ravens' year.
Yep.
Like it's
the Lions.
How do you? Yeah. Like how do you go in there? Regardless of seeing, and that's the tough part, regardless of seeing what Philly did to Washington, how do you go into the Super Bowl matchup and say, yeah, the Eagles should roll the Chiefs? And here's the worst part. Realistically, they should.
Yeah. But I think the difference is, and me and Tony were going over the numbers, with Saquon. It's, I think, what is it? It's 19 games. 5 of them were under 100, but 2 of them he had 80 and 90. Like, no one stopped him all season. But I just think if a defense, especially you're going to give Spagnuolo 2 weeks to prepare for the Eagles, they're obviously going to be ready for these runs. And I just feel like their defense is experienced, mature. They're not going to miss the tackles that the Commanders missed yesterday and that the Rams missed the game before that. And I think that's going to be the difference. And I do agree with you with the low scoring because the Eagles defense is really good. But I was even just saying to Tony, because he's talking about how Barkley's such a weapon, you can't stop him. But what's it going to be? Same situation as yesterday, except there's only a minute left, no timeout, so you can't run the ball. What's Hurts going to do against his defense having to go 80 yards?
And that's my point. That's the exact point that I was calling in to make, is that if this turns into a game where Jalen needs to show up, they fall flat.
Yeah.
If it's a game where they're up by 3, they have the ball with 4 or 5 minutes left, maybe even 6 minutes left, and they have to use Saquon to run that clock down to as low as they can, then you know what? The Eagles might be able to pull it out. But if they think that giving Mahomes the ball with anything less than anything more than 3 minutes, they're screwed.
Yeah, that's true.
No, absolutely. And it was just speaking to the opportunities, like the Bills had to close, to win this game, and they just didn't step up. And it's the same thing. The Eagles, are going to have to take advantage of those moments. And I just think that Barkley, he's going to get yards, but I just don't think he's going to be busting runs like this. There's just too much tape out there on the mistakes that opposing defenses are making, and the Chiefs are going to make those adjustments, and all those veterans on defense, and Chris Jones is an animal up front. So it's going to be a good game, but I definitely like, maybe some early value, Ernie, on the parlay going Chiefs in the under, no?
No, Chiefs in the over.
Oh, but didn't you just say 21-17?
But what's the line?
49.5.
Oh, okay. No, the under.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be that.
1 step ahead of you there. And then I was just thinking too.
I actually got to run.
Okay, I got to run. Go ahead. Great call.
Appreciate the call, dude.
Bye.
The one, the only Ernie. You could tell he had to go because he thought it was the over and it was the under. Bless you, Tony.
Definitely. Thank you.
But I'm excited for this one. And also too, everyone whines and moans, but once we get to Super Bowl Sunday, everyone's going to be into the game. Everyone's going to have all their prop bets, the Gatorade color, the halftime costumes, the coin toss, all these crazy stuff. Everyone's going to be into the game.
No, I mean, everyone always
they're
is.
sour.
Dude. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
sour. And that's what I was saying before Ernie called in. It's just, to me, it's fan immaturity. It really is. Because like I said, I mean, it's evident why these teams are there. And
no, definitely.
That's what I got, honestly.
I really think that, it's interesting because, Ernie was talking about, Mahomes in these big spots. I don't know. I really still tip my hat to Reed. Andy Reid, I think, is just such a ridiculous coach, dude.
Oh, my God.
The creativity, the thought process, obviously the chemistry he's created. The demeanor is phenomenal. And, they're just smart, dude. And honestly, not for nothing. I mean, I want to say they have some of the fastest receiving core, right?
Oh,
I mean, Hollywood Brown is ridiculously
Hollywood
fast.
Brown and Worthy.
And
then,
Worthy.
Smith, Schuster, and Hopkins, more possession receivers. They
Yeah,
don't
but
even
still.
utilize them enough.
No.
And I was just saying this last night, too. Like, DeAndre Hopkins, in terms of just a straight possession receiver, probably still one of the best in the game. He just doesn't get the targets. But if Mahomes needs to find him, he's going to catch the ball. He's not dropping it.
Yeah, and not for nothing. If you're DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, who cares if you're not getting the ball that much? You're about to win a Super Bowl, possibly.
Oh, yeah, and that's what he's been earning for his whole career.
Uh-huh.
And, he's probably on the verge of retiring, in the next year or two, or maybe even after this season, walking off into the the sunset. It'll be interesting for sure. One thing that I was thinking about that we didn't talk about, and I feel like Kev do. I forgot if I asked him about this yesterday. I was talking to him, but I always love like just poking the bear because he's just so excited about the Cowboys. How they hired Schottenheimer as the coach.
Yeah, how funny is that, dude?
Yeah, I mean, long grizzled vet, son of Marty, the Hall of Famer, I think. Yeah. It just wasn't a name people had circled. And it just seemed like everyone's calling it like Jerry's, next pawn. I mean, how surprised were you that they went this direction?
I mean, I was going to say, it must have been because of that, right? I mean, Jerry is still going to be just, I guess, somewhat in control. And I mean, that was a lot of the narrative, going into like the fact that, who's going to want to be the coach for the Cowboys when you have an owner who is very outspoken, incredibly outspoken to the media at very least. Not to mention, I mean, it's just a tough job in general. I mean, the Cowboys, America's team, we know their history and whatnot. And obviously, the roster they have, the Dak injury problems.
By the way, not a Hall of Famer, Chief Hall of Famer, only eligible NFL coach with at least 200 regular season wins who has not been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
kind of
surprising.
Interesting too. Schottenheimer here, 10th full-time head coach for the Cowboys, 9th under Jerry Jones since 1989, which is pretty interesting. And I guess they have him on a 4-year deal, right? I think
4-year deal. They said, but I just don't see I don't know. Supposedly Jerry's trying to say he's excited and Dak loves them, this and that. But how this helps the team versus having Mike McCarthy as a coach.
Right, exactly. Like, what is the improvement?
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I don't know, dude. It's just I feel like everything over there in Dallas is just kind of becoming sour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is CeeDee Lamb really happy? Dak is inconsistent. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, this season for them was such a bust after what could have been good last year, but we know how the postseason ended up for them last season. So I don't know, dude. Like you said, I mean, I think at this point, like the Cowboys aren't leaps and bounds ahead of where they were this past season.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens though.
And then some other news, the Jets going with, did we talk about Steve Wilkes as a DC or no?
I don't think so, dude.
Yeah. The former Arizona coach. And I think he was the DC as the Niners in their Super Bowl run last year. And then also was, I think, a DC for the Panthers before that, under Ron Rivera. So a grizzled vet, probably, just kind of a somebody for Glenn as a first-time head coach to lean on. So I don't think it's a bad hire. And the thing is, the Niners, I mean, they end up firing Sorensen after the season anyway. So tough. I don't know if maybe he was the scapegoat there. So I think it's good to get veterans. I'm really anxious to see who they bring in as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Bobby Slovic fired over the weekend as well, and he was a head coaching opportunities, but then we saw the way that Texans offense sputtered down the stretch. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. A younger guy. I don't know if there's any connections there. If the Jets would bring him in as OC, can you do a little search just to see if there's any murmurs about the offensive coordinator for the Jets?
For the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, speaking of the Jets, former head coach Rob Saleh back to San Francisco. Knew that was going to happen, and I think he's going to revitalize his coaching career there.
New York Jets OC frontrunner drawing stellar comparisons here to Sean McVay. New York Jets have
Nick Caley, it looks like, right?
Yeah, that's him, right? Nick Caley.
The Rams, is he their offensive coordinator? Or no, he's probably the quarterback coach.
Caley's why he's a favorite
and tight ends coach.
Yep, tight ends and passing game coordinator, which I guess that sounds good, right?
Yeah.
The
Rams, McVay.
I mean, great
tree.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I think a great culture over there for LA. The winning mentality.
Yep.
And again, I mean, I think that would be a good bet, dude. No, right?
Yeah. No, I think that sounds pretty good. So you get one vet and one, looks like younger coach. So I think that's a good mix. And then speaking of offensive coordinators, the Seahawks hiring ex-Saints offensive coordinator and son of Gary Kubiak, Clint, as their offensive coordinator. So I think that's a good move. And I know the Saints struggled this past year, but they had the whole carousel at quarterback. And even when Carr was healthy, not playing well. But Gary Kubiak from the Mike Shanahan tree, Kyle Shanahan, of course, those same type of principles. So I think that's a great move for what's going to be second-year head coach Mike McDonald.
Huge, dude. He's definitely going to need the help, too.
Yeah. So I think that's a good move. And speaking of the Saints, they are the last team to hire a coach. I don't know, too, if they're thinking McCarthy or if there's any articles there. The Bears hired their former head coach as their defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, as well as hiring 28-year-old Declan Doyle as their offensive coordinator. Yeah? Obviously, they didn't need an experienced coordinator there because Ben Johnson most likely will call the plays. He's going to more coordinate the offense. They're talking maybe Kafka and Kellen Moore as candidates here.
Yeah, looks like it, dude. Possible if Mike Kafka gets New Orleans head coaching job. Kafka reportedly interested in bringing controversial former Giants defensive coordinator with him, which I would imagine
Wink Martindale.
Right? That would be the guy. Yeah. What do you think about Wink Martindale? I mean,
he seems a little tight. Michigan didn't do great this year since he went over there. But I think, he probably has the right ideas, but it seems like he has like a communication problem with us. His face is always red. He's always tight.
Yes. But I will say, though, I mean, working with the Giants organization, I mean, I can't be,
He did come from Baltimore, but they let him go, which is interesting because they've always had good defenses. So
yeah, that's weird.
I'm kind of in between there. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think that was really all of the football news, coaching moves over the weekend. So we'll keep an eye out for everything. As we get closer and closer to the Super Bowl, talk more and more about the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles. But for now, if we could go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Speed, here he comes. McDavid shoots, top shelf, he scores! Captain with the overtime winner! That's the middle quick. It's a world-class hit right here. Tomsky stepping, rink wide! Made the full split save!
Are you kidding me?
Turn, side of the net, between the legs, and they score! Filthy! David Pastrnak, the silver trophy to the Golden Knights!
All right, Tony. So no way to say it. A punch in the gut yesterday afternoon at the Garden. Rangers falling 5-4, giving up a goal with 16 seconds left in regulation there. So the Avalanche getting the season sweep on the Rangers. The Rangers falling to 24, 21-4, 12-10-2 at the Garden, and the Avalanche improving to 29, 20-2, 15-10 away from Colorado. The Rangers fell in an early 2-0 hole. Goals that weren't even a minute apart between Jack Drury, newly acquired, and Cale Makar.
Classic.
Who had 2 goals in this game.
Almost had the hat trick.
Yeah. And then fortunately for the Rangers, though, they were able to answer back. Carrick and Trocheck, and Vinny T's goal was gritty. He falls down after. I was almost thinking he might be injured. Obviously, it seems like he was okay from that. But then Cale Makar, another goal there in the first period on a power play, made it 3-2 as we headed to the locker room. And then 4 minutes in, Parsinen, I guess, had his fourth there, assisted by Casey Middlestat, a guy that Tony, I feel like, really likes. And then
that's right.
The new contract extension working out well for Will Borgen, his third of the year, the defenseman.
Yeah.
Made it 4-3 there as they headed into the locker room for one more intermission. Artie Panarin, 5 minutes into the third, his 21st, tying the game at 4. But then, like we talked about at the Lekonkinen, after the Rangers had a power play that left only 20 seconds on the clock, they don't do a good job of going back down the ice. And Lekonkinen, crazy goal, and Colorado wins 5-4. Like I said, an absolute backbreaker, especially because you could have the qualms about defensively, but offensively right now, this New York Rangers team is clicking. It's coming from everywhere, the scoring. They just got to do a better job on defense and situationally like this, because that was a scenario where you just absolutely have no option there but to get this game into overtime.
Yeah, I mean, you did get that game into overtime, basically, with an opportunity really to put it away in the third period. I mean, 2.5 minutes left. You want a 2-minute power play. And not for nothing, dude, if you want to focus on really just that kerfuffle, I mean, which there were a few by the Rangers, obviously, but Jesus Christ, man. I mean, how do you not? And of course, I'm pretty sure it was Will Borgen with the pass. Like, how do you not see him coming out of the box, dude?
Yeah.
It sucks because Will Borgen, I mean, you mentioned the goal, was having such a great game, dude. Winning little battles along the boards, phenomenal poke checks. The defense was solid, and just, like the power play is expiring. Like, why isn't everyone on the ice saying full strength? Like, the guy's coming back on. Will Borgen doesn't see him and just passes right to, I think it was Cale Makar in the box, to be honest.
Yeah.
And of course, it's like a 2-on-1 or 3-on-2 the other way at that point. And it's just, you knew exactly what was going to happen at that point. And there was no way that anyone really could stop it. That pass, everyone's behind the puck. It's just, it was no good, dude. And like we were saying, dude, 14 seconds left, a game that seemed like you'd be getting another point.
Right.
Which you need. You need every point you can get right now.
3.
Yeah. Brutal game. After what was I think some of the more creative offensive goals, or I guess creative goals, I should say, I think the Rangers have in general. And to climb back from down 2-0, dude. I mean, not for nothing, that Sam Carrickle was nasty. Matt Rempe was just, I mean, I was saying last week too, the fourth line has been playing so freaking good.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievable how much Matt Rempe has specifically improved his game. I mean, he was the playmaker right there, finding Sam Carrick right in front of the net. And then again, same deal, Vincent Trocheck. Alexis Lafreniere had showed such patience on this play because defender, slid down, dove, sliding away, and he passed the puck underneath the skates of that defender, finds Trocheck, and it's one of those goals, one of those plays where there's really nothing that Mackenzie Blackwood could do to really defend that. And again, I mean, the Will Borgen goal was sick, Panarin, and to always be down as well for the Rangers and climb back up, and then to have this loss was just so gut-wrenching.
Anything on Igor? I mean, 5 goals, but I mean, anything that you saw there or no?
I mean, he wasn't playing his best, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting beat. It's tough to, obviously. I mean, not for nothing. The one thing the Rangers have a terrible habit of is not protecting the middle of the ice, which is what the Avalanche do so great. And obviously they can attack from at any point. I mean, I think that, bad defense and the fact that Colorado has one of the more explosive offenses in the league, they can score from, in theory, anywhere with any player, mind you. And I got it. We haven't really talked about it, but the Natchez Jack Drury acquisition, one of the crazier trades I think I've seen recently, especially trading Mikko Rantanen, someone who was, correct me if I'm wrong, but drafted by Colorado, and won a cup with them. Like, he won a cup with, and I know, he's becoming a free agent, I think next year, which is why they were, $9.5 million, probably wants another big contract, which is fine. But to acquire Martin Necas, 2 assists yesterday against the Rangers.
Yeah, he's good.
He is another forward who's just so freaking fast. Someone who's just explosive, enters the zone, blows past defenders. And if you're coupling that with a Nathan McKinnon, even a Jack Drury who had that goal. Chris Drury's nephew, by the way, I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that, but I was wondering. What's his deal? Like, is he
good? He's solid. I mean, again, he was doing well with Carolina.
Yeah.
Again, just a crazy interesting trade because I feel like, I mean, not for nothing, Drury and Natchez were both doing very well for Carolina. I just think maybe both teams want to shake something up, I suppose. Mikko Rantanen, by the way, a childhood friend with now his new teammate, Sebastian Aho. So that was definitely, I'm sure, something that they're, had in mind when acquiring him. And I'm sure they're going to look to sign him, for a few more years. Having Aho there, childhood friend, I'm sure is going to be very helpful for that. So it's good for the Canes, I suppose. But back to the Avalanche. I mean, they're so freaking good, dude. And Cale Makar is one of those players who's, I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a great defender. And not for nothing, dude. I think they were talking about it on the broadcast. I mean, something that Colorado does, specifically Cale Makar, is shot deception. You know, anything that, you know, obviously as a goaltender, you try to look for little things, little tells
when they're going to shoot,
and where they're going to shoot. You know, Cale Makar, what he does really very well is that he'll drift away from the side in which he's shooting towards, which any typical, well, I would say most forwards or most players will try to, you know, fade to the side that they are shooting towards to get more of their body behind, more speed, more of a harder shot. But he does the opposite, and obviously does so with such accuracy, which is ridiculous. And you see it. You saw it against Lundqvist. You know, Cale Makar, again, like going to the left, and you see, you know, Lundqvist fades a little bit, brings his blocker side down because he thinks he's going that side. All of a sudden, over the glove goal sort of deal. So, I mean, the talent with Colorado, obviously, just like the Rangers, one of the hotter teams right now in the league who seem to have figured it out. I think they've had something like 40 different players up and down this year for Colorado.
Wow.
And that includes the different goaltenders they've had too.
Right.
So again, they're a team who's definitely found themselves. You do want to get a point in this game. But I mean, I think the Rangers still played a great game nonetheless. I mean, obviously it is, you know, against a team like this, just like, you know, you see the Bills and Chiefs against two high-powered teams. It's those little things you do, those little mistakes that are really going to cost you, and that's what happens. And the Rangers, it just seems like for me, kind of resorted back to like a think first and don't shoot. You know,
that
power play,
yes.
Dude. There was definitely an opportunity. I think it was Lafreniere.
Yep.
Cross ice pass,
Space.
has it, and is looking for another pass.
Yeah.
Same thing with Hedl too. I feel like the whole game he had some opportunities, but then there were times where it's like he's looking to pass when you should just be shooting, dude. And it's just, you know, they had those opportunities, and I don't know if they were just, again, second guessing themselves, knowing that, you know, Blackwood was on it had a good game, even though historically I think Blackwood is like 6-9 or 5-9 against the Rangers.
Yeah. But different playing for the Avalanche versus the Devils.
Again, I mean, what the Avs do probably the best in the league is they defend the middle of the ice, you know? Just defending. They have tremendous defense, dude.
Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm just saying. So, I mean, that's something that the Rangers have to build towards. So one thing they don't do is defend well. Yeah. You know, if they start doing that, you know, this game, you know, maybe you're giving up 2 less goals, maybe.
And you think, well, first I was actually just going to ask, who do you think won that trade? I mean, I know it's so tough because 3-team deal. Chicago gets involved for draft picks. Taylor
Which
Hall
is crazy.
Also going to the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So you get Drury and Nikas going to the Avalanche, and then you get, you know, Rantanen and Hall going to the Hurricanes.
I mean, it's very tough. It's a close call because it really is like kind of crazy when you think of Mikko Rantanen. You know, I get he's probably the best player of the deal. But the fact that Colorado gets Nikas, who's probably the second best player of the deal, and Jack Drury, who's a little bit younger. As much as I do enjoy Taylor Hall, I don't think he has
kind of washed, right?
Yeah, I mean, he, you know, very, very few and, you know, far from his you know,
MVP
year with Boston. I guess Colorado wins it because Chicago takes half of Rantanen's salary, maybe. But I mean, that's, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, Rantanen is good. So I think it's
so
one of those
good,
things
dude.
you would think, as long as they can work out contracts, extensions, all of that, where
That's
it works out
too.
for both teams.
Yeah.
And Chicago, I mean, probably wanted to get rid of Hall. So, I mean, I guess it's a win for them.
Yeah, I guess so. Again, interesting because I always thought that, you know, the Hall Bedard thing was kind of, you know, obviously young veteran, learn from me sort of deal. But yeah, obviously, I mean, if Carolina ends up signing Rantanen, which I would think so, maybe they start to edge out this deal. But I mean, he could not re-sign with Carolina. You know,
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then you think the Rangers are looking for another defenseman, kind of speaking to what you're saying about defending the middle of the ice?
I haven't heard much rumblings, I guess. Maybe I'm trying to think. Brennan Othman. Let's see where this guy is. Injured, I know. Oh, I forgot he's a forward. Fuck, never mind. No, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I guess. I mean, I would recommend them to. You know, I mean, they
Mhm.
definitely need the defender. I'm really sick and tired of seeing Kendra Miller fuck up. To be honest,
Yeah. So you would
Um,
love to show him the door, basically.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I really would. But again, who that defender is, I mean, we'll see. It does seem like other teams are, Penguins, they're talking about them dumping a lot of players. So maybe you can get a defenseman from them. I
Do
don't
we
really know.
want
Do you want it? I
Letang?
don't even know, dude. I mean, Letang, probably, I guess.
For nothing. Or just like, you know what I mean? Just
Yes.
nothing. I wouldn't want to give up like a future asset, but if it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a 5th rounder, like, okay, I guess.
It's really interesting too with the Penguins scenario because I feel like they've been kind of like winning every other game.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people are like, oh, like we're back in, but the fire sale's back on. Like
Yeah.
it should be really interesting to see what they are going to be doing as the trade deadline approaches in March.
Okay. Yeah, maybe look that up. And while you're looking that up, I just want to run down the results from yesterday. Sens 3-1 over Utah there. Giroux had a goal and assist. And Merlanen did a nice job in net. What do we got for
March 7th.
March 7th. So we got almost a little more than a month away. So Senators kind of holding their own here. It'd be interesting to see if they entertain Kachuk. I mean, they're hanging in there in a decent spot in the playoff race. The Jets 5-2 over the Flames. They've kind of been running into form, and they went with Comrie in net, and he had a nice performance, 20-22. Connor with a goal and an assist, and Velarde also had 2 goals and 2 assists.
Very nice.
We saw the Wild 4-2 over the Blackhawks. Boldy with the hat trick and assist. Eriksson Ek, Tony, with a goal in that one. So the Wild had been struggling, but still 29-17 and an impressive 18-5-3 away from Minnesota. And then the Knights 4-1 over the Panthers, playing on the back-to-back. Aiden Hill 32-33 in net. Knights 19-61 at home, 31-15-4 overall.
Crazy.
Panthers good, but maybe not great, especially with the record this year, 29-19-3, but obviously still a dangerous threat in the playoffs, almost similar to Kansas City from a couple of years ago. So we'll have to see. We have a 5-pack tonight. Obviously, no Rangers. They'll be back tomorrow at the Garden against the Hurricanes. So be interesting to see how they look against their new look team. But it is time for a Monday Frozen Frenzy.
Let's get the week started off right here, dude. A nice little 5-pack, like you say. We're starting off in Detroit, Brian. Little Caesars against the Kings here. 7 p.m. NHL Network. You have LA at -145, so Detroit +125. The home dogs, dude. Over is 5.5. The Kings, second time and last time these two teams will face each other. Kings took care of business 4-1 against the Red Wings. Kings on a little skid of their own, losing 3 of the last 5. So the Red Wings, but bouncing back, won back-to-back games, beat Montreal and T-Bay at home. Outscoring those two opponents by 6-2 here, dude. So maybe a little bit of a heater. Does maybe LA have what it takes to come in here and get the job done?
Yes, Tony. The Grizzled Vets, Kempe, and Kopitar good enough here. I think they win a defensive game. I'm going to say 3-1. Kopitar with 2 goals and an assist. Kings in the under.
I like that call here. I'm going to go Kings here, but the over. I think a little bit of struggling has happened with the goaltending situation in Detroit. Obviously, you know some of the injuries they've dealt with as well. Patrick Kane's been one who's been a little up and down, injuries, the age, but to show up nonetheless, dude. I'm going to go with the Kings here. Quentin Byfield, maybe with, I don't know, game winner, third period. They win 4-3. Kings in the over here. Next game going to Philadelphia. Wells Fargo Center. Flyers taking on the Devils. New Jersey here. Similar line here to Detroit, by the way. Flyers are +125. Home dogs. You think of these two teams, what they've been showing. Both actually against Flyers, back-to-back losses against 2 New York teams here on the road. Rangers, Islanders, Devils, back-to-back wins. Boston and Montreal took Montreal to overtime on Saturday. They ended up winning 4-3. Devils pretty hot right now. Markstrom playing well. Flyers, their goaltending situation also not great, dude. What do you got?
Yeah, kind of tough here,
Tough.
but I just, in these type of scenarios where I'm not in love with the way each team has been playing recently, still going to go with the overall better team. So give me the Devils. I'm going to say it's a 3-2 game late. Maybe Hughes with an empty netter for his 20th. So that would be what? The Devils and is the total 6.5?
5.5.
5.5. Okay, so 4-2 Devils in the over.
I like the Devils and the over call, to be honest. I think Markstrom's been playing pretty well for the Devils. He has some kerfuffles, but again, just like Detroit, I mean, Flyers having a goaltending issue of their own. Fedotov has a pretty interesting story, but Urson has not been living up to his hype, I suppose. Some good games, but I think today maybe he loses it here. Devils, I don't know, maybe 4-1. I'll say 5-1. Devils and the over here. Next game, we're going 7:30 here. We're going to St. Louis, baby. St. Louis is taking on the Canucks, which is pretty interesting. Vancouver, plus 105 here on the money line. We know what their deal is. You think of these, how these teams are doing as of lately. Both have lost 3 of the last 5. Canucks just stole one from Washington, though, 2-1. Quinn Hughes has been absolutely diabolical for the Canucks. Seemingly one of the only good things coming out of there. What do you got? You think maybe the Blues take care of business at home?
You know, it's tough here. This is kind of one of those toss-up games as well. But I'm kind of thinking maybe the theme here today is the Hughes brothers, Tony.
Yeah.
So I think Quinn, I'm going to say the game winner, a defensive hockey game here. And I'm going to say game winner in overtime. Give me the Canucks and the under, Hughes with the game winner 3-2.
I love the call there. I love the OT call. I'm going to stick to regulation, though. I think Canucks get it done in regulation. And I've been fading the Canucks for probably 2 weeks now. We know why. But I think against St. Louis, Binnington lays an egg here. Possibly pulled, to be honest. Canucks go on to win this one. I'm going to say 5-3. Canucks and the over, chugging along. I think there's 2 games left here. Yes! 9:30 p.m. We're getting a little late night action here in Edmonton. Rogers Place, the Oilers taking on the Kraken. And boy, look at this line here. Where am I? Kraken plus 240. Talking of the value of that one, though. But then again, what's the value? If you lose, dude, Oilers winning 3 of the last 5, just beat Buffalo and Vancouver back-to-back games. Kraken able to a resurgence, winning 3 of their last 5 too, beating LA, beating Buffalo, beating Pittsburgh. Tell me how much of the Oilers winning by, Brian.
I like how you're on top of it, Tony, and even quoting me the value if you lose. It's exactly what the situation is.
Yep.
And McDavid is back now from that 3-game hiatus,
Correct.
I believe, right? So, yeah, I'm going to say this is a bloodbath. And you look at it, Oilers won 4-2 last time out, or earlier this month on the 4th. I'm going to say 6-2. McDavid tight about the suspension. Hat trick for Josh B. Oilers in the over.
Yeah, dude, I can't agree more with that, to be honest. I know I'm always someone who would fade the Oilers. But boy, I mean, I just think the Kraken aren't good. Last time these two teams faced each other, you mentioned the 4-2. McDavid not on the score sheet, even though he had 6 shots on goal. I think, 2 goals and an assist for him, honestly. Oilers, I don't know, 6-1, 6-2 maybe. Oilers end the over, Brian. Next game and last game. 2 teams here that are pretty interesting. 10:30 p.m. San Jose, the Sharks taking on the Penguins here. A little bit of a rematch of the Cup final in 2017 maybe?
I didn't realize that. Okay.
That's correct, dude. I think it was 2017 maybe. Anyway, these 2 teams here, Penguins had to take it to a shootout to beat the Sharks in late November. This will be the second and last time these teams are facing each other. And you think about the Penguins here. Again, I mentioned every other game that they're kind of losing or winning. Fire sale back on. Is Crosby being traded? I don't know. Sharks 6-game losing streak though. Penguins take care of business on the road.
This is so tough. But I'm tempted to say the Sharks snapped the losing streak. Hello, Renee. I'm going to say Grizzled Vets, the Penguins, uncertain futures.
Yeah.
Getting the band back together for one more win here, Tony. Crosby with 2 goals and an assist. I'm going to say 5-2 Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh in the over.
I love the call on 5-2. Obviously, regulation there. Penguins take care of business. And at minus 165, I think you would take it there. So your Penguins in the over, dude.
And just like that, that is your Monday. Frozen Frenzy.
Bang.
So a nice little 5-pack there. I'm sure Ernie can come up with a couple bets maybe.
Okay matchups.
Yeah, okay matchups. Yeah. The Kings, that's kind of my favorite one. I think they're going to beat the Red Wings definitely, right? Game of the night or no? Or did you pick the Kings or not? I forgot.
I did pick the Kings.
Okay, but you're not saying like lock of the night. You're saying Edmonton lock of the night.
I would think Edmonton lock of the night.
290. Yeah.
I really can't see the Kraken, holding a glass of anything to the Oilers tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, just a couple housekeeping things here before we go. Just wanted to recap quickly. Farmers Insurance Open here. Harris English, Tony.
How about that, dude?
Getting the job done here, shooting a 280, 8 under par. The winds were nuts in La Jolla this weekend.
Oh, my God, dude.
But he closes with a 73. That's good for a one-shot victory over Sam Stevens. And then a Tony personal favorite, Andrew Novak, 6 under par, solo third. And then Sanjay M.
He blew it
here.
down the stretch. No, Novak.
Okay.
I think maybe the 16th hole just absolutely chunked one.
Michael.
Good morning.
How are you?
Great. Yes, sir.
You're live on the
We are live on the sports port right now. But yeah, Novak, I mean, literally looked like me a little bit. Like, obviously, tough course, the winds, whatnot. But I think it was maybe the 15th hole, 16th hole, where it was like the green is like in this bowl where it's like, and it's just, it drops down, and he's on one side and he chipped it, and it's like, oh, it's going to be nice, but then rolls back down the other side. And literally, dude, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Tough.
So,
tough course.
Tough one for him. So Eamon Ventura tied at 5 under, Hayden Springer 4 under. You had former Masters champ Denny Willett tied for 9th. Joel Damon tied for 9th as well. So despite shooting 75 on Sunday, a top 10 for Damon is good. Keegan Bradley finishing tied for 15th at 1 under. So this course, really, showed its toughness, especially when you don't have the best weather conditions. And then speaking of tough courses, we'll have another one coming up starting on Thursday, Pebble Beach. Weather, rainy and in the 50s. So that one will be a tough one for sure. But CBS getting the call there, and we'll do our preview on Wednesday. But always look forward to Pebble Beach. We talk about it many times. I just wish they could do it, a better time of year, better weather. Kind of tough, being in Northern California in late January or early February.
Yeah, no, it is tough, dude. I mean, you think they're going to change that?
Doesn't seem like it. I feel like
it's part of the West Coast swing, dude. They get it all out of the way.
Pro-Am. Yeah. They like doing the Pro-Am, so that's like a big part of it as well. And like just sort of seasons, like, football players, baseball players, they can play in it. So it's like they want more of those type of people in it.
And I mean, not for nothing. I mean, they can't, because they start the season Hawaii to California.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way they can not start there though, because it's gonna be cold anywhere else. Right.
But you could go to
Arizona.
Like Arizona. Like I'm curious actually right now what it says Arizona is.
But I mean, doesn't it make sense though to go from like to use that path to go like from left to right?
But if you're out west, I mean, you're out west though, no?
Yeah.
No. So I'm saying whether you go to a different spot out west and then give it a couple weeks is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I see. But I guess they want to avoid the back and forth. Yeah.
But it's like,
who cares?
Who cares at this point? Everything is so accessible. But really? So Thursday, I mean, the Thursday 53 high, Friday 55 high, and Thursday partly sunny, Friday all cloudy, Saturday, Sunday 75, 60% of range, mid 50s. I mean, that's just not Pebble Beach at its finest.
It's not. Yeah, no, it's true, dude.
And then just a comparison here. Scottsdale, if they were to play it next week, would be fully sunny all 4 days, 60, 63, 68, 72. So just kind of my thought there. And then lastly, Tony, UConn falling 76-72 to Xavier. Had a 1-point lead at the half, but we even were saying it felt like they were lucky to be up at halftime. And you look at it, one thing that was the bugaboo, as we would like to say, 7 of 26 from 3-point range. That's not going to get it done. Carabin with only 9 points, 5 rebounds. And then, we did have Solo Ball have 20 points, but 6 of 17 from the floor. So the inconsistencies again, and just some late turnovers. And it just felt like, against a team like Xavier, a team that you should win, you don't. So it's unfortunate here, and some tough games coming up on the schedule. And I think the next game, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be against DePaul on Wednesday. So that's a game you have to win before you have the gauntlet little schedule here. At Marquette, home to St. John's, at Creighton, at Seton Hall, home to Villanova, and at St. John's. So A lot of tough games on the schedule for sure. And I actually almost forgot, though, Tony, that we do have time, okay, to do a football panini poll.
Baby.
So I know
Let's
you're riled
go,
for
dude.
this. The 15 pack.
It's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Who are you predicting? We got someone you want.
I'm going to say Mahomes.
Oh, my
What
God,
about you?
dude.
It would be symmetrical. What do you think?
George Kittle.
George
Big
Kittle.
card.
So we do have a big tight end, but it's not George Kittle. It's T.J. Hawkinson. I know you're gonna love this. I know you're gonna love this next card, though. From the Philadelphia Eagles, number 26.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley.
There we
so
go.
That's a big one. Speaking of big tight ends, number 88 from Pittsburgh Steelers, Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, love that
nice
one. There we go.
The safety from the San Francisco 49ers, Taluna Hafunga. And then Gus Edwards.
There we go, dude.
There.
Tottenville High School.
From the Rams,
Staten Island.
Kobe Turner, former Ram, current Dolphin, Jalen Ramsey.
Love that.
Throwback card, it looks like. Yes, throwback card here, I guess.
Oh, yeah?
Saints Ring of Honor, Ricky Jackson.
Jackson.
Speaking of Saints here, Alvin Kamara. That's a good
nice,
one.
dude. There we go.
And then AJ Barner of the Seahawks. We love that. And this is a rated rookie card.
Oh, there we go.
We love that. Speaking of rookies, this is one that might have value, Tony. From the Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, there we go.
And it seems like this is a tight end themed pack here.
George Kittle.
From the Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews.
Oh, no, dude. Drop the card. Drop the ball.
From the Buffalo Bills, Greg Rousseau.
That's a good one.
And then from the
Defender?
Bengals, I was actually doing a good job in Madden with them over the weekend, Chase Brown. And then another tight end to cap it off, David Njoku.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just like that. That is your Panini pack pull. Another successful one.
Yeah, I would say so. I love the tight end theme, which is
Yeah.
interesting. We talked about a new OC who's a tight ends coach, possibly the Jets. I don't know. Is it point to something? Who knows?
Who knows? We
Coincidence?
definitely could use some tight ends, that's for sure.
I don't know. Who's your favorite card of the bunch, though? You didn't seem really that hyped for anyone specific.
Are you serious?
Like that hyped.
Saquon? I mean, that's a great card. And then Harrison Jr., the rookie card?
Who are you most hyped for, though? Like
I would say the
Saquon?
Harrison Jr. rookie card. Saquon's great, but I'm saying Harrison as a rookie might have value.
Yeah, for
Especially
sure.
if he becomes the Hall of Famer, we all expect him to. What about you?
I mean, I guess for me personally, probably Freiermuth.
Freiermuth.
Fantasy team, tight end, dude. I use him a lot. Very, very successful.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah. So, another pack pull. That was a good one. And then looking forward to the baseball pull tomorrow.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, here we are, and it's another great show. And
Great show.
Really appreciate everybody who tuned in today and continues to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jane Costume, the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.